Well, good evening, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Lynette Hall. I'm a Community Engagement Manager here at the City of Sacramento, and thank you for joining the City of Sacramento Redistricting tutorial and workshop on how to use the toolkit, and more importantly, the software and application to submit your maps for redistricting. So today, here is our agenda. We will do a quick— Well, good evening, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Lynette Hall. I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at the City of Sacramento, and thank you for joining the City of Sacramento. One minute, we're having some technology. I'm hearing. Is anyone familiar with how to stop it from repeating what I'm saying?
Is it doing it on your side, or did somebody just have their speaker on their own and wasn't muted?
Okay, maybe that's it. I was just at, so please, if you can, please mute. Okay, I don't hear it.
Are you still hearing?
No, I'm not hearing it. So maybe it was because someone was unmuted. So thank you.
There you go.
I'll go back. Are you familiar with how to stop it from?
Hi, Jeanette, it's Maria. Maybe it often has to do with the volume on your own side. If you have your volume too high, it will give feedback and echo back through. So if you turn your volume down a little bit, I think that may resolve the issue.
Okay. Okay, so I've turned my audio down and I'm hoping that that will stop.
I didn't hear it that time, so it sounds like that might have worked.
Someone just sent me, I think I had to close the Facebook because we're streaming live on Facebook as well. So I think that might help. Thank you.
There you go, because there was a delay. That makes sense.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Okay, let's try this again. Thank you guys for bearing with us. So again, Lynette Hall, hopefully this is a little bit better. Quickly, our agenda today. I will briefly go over our redistricting overview for those of you that were not able to attend the last tutorial, and then briefly go over our outreach and engagement plan, and then get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this workshop tonight, which is the mapping application tutorial. They will also touch on how to submit a communities of interest map as well. And then we will open it up for questions that you may have regarding the toolkit and specifically the mapping software. So a quick overview, what is redistricting? Redistricting coincides with the census that happens every 10 years. So after the census, the city must reestablish boundaries for the city council to ensure that the boundaries are balanced in population in accordance with both local, state, and federal laws. And in the city of Sacramento, boundaries for the first time will be developed by community members. There are key requirements and criteria that the commissioners must take into account. One is that council districts are substantially equal in population. Final maps must comply with US Constitution as well as the Federal Voting Act, Voting Rights Act, and other federal and state laws. Each council district must be geographically contiguous. Existing neighborhoods and community boundaries must be taken into account, as well as communities of interest, integrity and compactness of the territory, geography, natural and artificial barriers as boundaries, and also preservation of population core that is consistent with each associated council district, and then any other criteria that is adopted by the Sacramento Independent Redistricting Commission. To give you a brief overview of the timeline, we kicked off engagement in February and March. We've held monthly meetings in each district, and we've gone through a total of 8, concluding the last one this month in September, which was District 8. We've held a number of city-hosted workshops, in addition to some of our CBOs and individuals that have also been holding meetings as well. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Census information has now been received. We are hoping that this week, the information will be completely and accurately uploaded in the system for you all to begin playing with the actual mapping software. We are asking that maps be submitted in November, the first week of November, I believe on the 7th, but our GIS folks will talk a little bit about that in detail. Maps must be submitted, and so that our commission has time to review them and ultimately submit them to council so that they can be adopted January 2022. We do realize that this is a tight timeline, and we will work as hard as we can as staff to ensure that we can get this done in a short period of time. Unfortunately, census information was just late this year, and so every city is dealing with the same timeline and crunch. Just to give you an idea, again, I mentioned that this is the first time that Sacramento had an independent redistricting commission. In prior years, it was the existing city council members that ultimately decided city lines. And we wanted to make sure that we took politics out of the equation. So the commission is represented by the community, selected 13 members. The commissioners must be free from special interest, politics, and political influence. There are many criteria that would prevent someone from being on the commission or even participating as a commissioner. They cannot run for office for over 10 years. So there's a lot of criteria that's in place just to make sure that, again, we're taking politics out of the equation. And they have the inclusive authority to redraw. So as long as they're following local, state, and federal guidelines, the ultimate decision lies within community. I wanted to make sure that you all knew who your commissioners are. If you have not attended one of the meetings, our last slide will actually list all of the additional meetings that will happen throughout the remainder of the year. I would encourage you all to participate. They are looking to hear from you. We have 5 different avenues for folks to provide input. So you can submit maps, you can submit an email or a form, you can call in and participate in the redistricting commissioner meetings, and all of your input is weighed the same. Our chair, Ms. Haruchi, and then our vice chair is Ms. Green. Just to give you a quick overview of outreach and engagement, we have about between 40 and 50 community-based organizations as well as individuals that are receiving stipends to get the message out. And we want to make sure that the message is consistent, no matter what CBO that you're receiving the information. And some of the key messaging is around shaping your neighborhood, fair representation, empowering your neighborhood, neighborhood equity, your neighborhood counts. And so we have created some of these messagings for both our city staff to get the message out, but again, our community as well. We wanted to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate regardless of what language that they speak. And so all materials are provided in English, but they are also available and translated in Spanish, Chinese, Dari, Fijian, Hmong, Vietnamese, and Russian. I do want to mention that it is not limited to this. If there's a language that is spoken that's not on this list, we can accommodate that as well. A language barrier should not prevent folks from being engaged and involved. We should all have a seat at the table. Again, we are providing our materials in multiple languages. We've been holding workshops in each council district, really to educate community about this new process of it being an independent redistricting commission, but more importantly, to get people involved and to provide their input. We have been hosting events on the radio. We are running ads in multiple languages. We have a toolkit that's available, and I will turn it over shortly to Morgan, who will actually walk you through how to use the toolkit. There's some great social media graphics that we made sure were culturally appropriate that can also be used to ultimately drive people to the commission meetings. We want the commission to hear from you. We also have available flyers, utility. We had information sent out in the utility inserts in June and July. We have door hangers available. You can make a request at the redistricting@cityofsacramento.org. You can send us an email and request to pick up flyers or door hangers at City Hall, and they can be available for you as well. So again, the toolkit that Morgan, I'll let her share her screen, will walk you through background information, give you guys some kind of high level talking points to have conversations with your community, and more importantly, with your family on why redistricting is important. It will also outline the timeline. There are PowerPoint slides that you can use to help promote the redistricting process and get people involved. There's printable flyers, again, social media graphics, and e-blast content for your social media pages. And ultimately, it's to provide community with the materials that they need to educate and engage the public about the redistricting process.
Are you ready for me to jump in now, Lynette?
Yes, I will go ahead and turn it over to you. Before I turn it over to you, we do have 30 and 60-second PSAs that are available. They're running currently on 97.5, which caters to a predominantly African-American audience. And we are also running PSAs in English and Spanish on Fuego, formerly 103.5. They just moved their station to 101.1, but it's the same radio station, which is Fuego. And then also in Spanish in La Tricor on 99.9. And again, the purpose of this is to drive traffic to the community meetings. With that being said, I will now turn it over to Morgan, who is just gonna walk you through how to find the toolkit on our website and how to navigate it.
Yeah, okay, let me start sharing my screen. I think you have to stop sharing first, Lynette, and then it will let me. Perfect. Okay, let me minimize this. Okay. And I actually, hopefully you can see, I have a side-by-side up. So on this side of the screen is the toolkit. And then I just have the redistricting website open as well. So as I start clicking through, you will start seeing things pop up over here. So as Lynette said, this is something that's supposed to help you and guide you as you share materials with your community, give you some sample messaging, some social media, flyers, those types of items that you can use as you're sharing the message about redistricting. And I'm going to go through this. I know many of you have probably seen this already. So I'm going to try and go through it and pick out what's going to be the most beneficial for you all. On this third page where it talks about what is the SIRC, it gives you kind of an overview of what Lynette's already mentioned, you know, what the census, or why we are redistricting because of the census that happens every 10 years. And then if you click here where it has watch video, it will open up and then there is a video you can play that gives you a little more information on what redistricting is, why it's important, and that type of background information. Over here, again, I know Lynette kind of went through some of this as well, just giving you a high level overview of the timeline. And as she said, there have been meetings that have happened up through September, and later on we'll share some additional community meetings that will happen. We also have a link within the toolkit that can be clicked on and take you directly to where you will find the mapping application. And I won't get into this too much because I know someone else is going to touch on it after I finish going through the toolkit itself. But this is what that homepage will look like. So you will be in the correct spot, easy access to find that mapping application. And then as I scroll through over here, back in the toolkit, there are just a few points on why you should get involved, what redistricting really helps with. And again, I know Lynette touched on some of those, so I won't repeat. If I continue, you have just a quick slide. Again, this one is reiterating what redistricting is, all the meetings that had happened, and knowing that there will be a few more. We may be able to update this and replace within the toolkit, but again, that you have this button where you can click and download the file itself. Keep scrolling. This is the same information as what you're seeing here, just in a vertical view. And then we have a stipend flyer. Again, this is telling you, you know, what the stipend is, what that process is. I know many of you have already been involved for several months, so you're probably very familiar with that. You've applied through this process. And then scrolling down, this is where I think the most benefit will be had for a lot of you. This is where our social media posts live. And again, you have these buttons. So if you click this top one, download social media graphics and content, it's going to open up and it's going to be just a Google file. It's going to have the caption. We've written that for you. Again, the pictures for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you click on the image itself, you will see this pop up, which will then, you can click on that and then download from there. So you have a high-res version of that image for you. And then we do have translations as well. We currently only have a few of the translations that Lynette mentioned, but again, if you need a translation that is not located here, that we do not have, that is something that we can get for you. And then I'm going to continue to scroll. As you will see, we have quite a few social posts, and you have an image, again, both for Facebook, Twitter, which you need that horizontal, and then Instagram is the square version. Continue to scroll through. As you can see, there are quite a few options for you. And then as we come to the bottom, there's an e-newsletter. So content we've written that you can just copy and paste over into an email. You can add more information to it if you need to. And again, we have view translations here at the bottom. And here we do have quite a few languages that you will be able to see. We have Hmong, we have Russian, Spanish, Tagalog. So quite a few languages there. And that is the end of the toolkit. As always, if you have questions or need more information, email ce@cityofsacramento.org. They should be able to answer all of your questions as far as redistricting goes. You can also send an email to myself, morgan@uptownstudios.net. And I am going to.
Thank you, Morgan. And you can go ahead and unshare your screen. And I will reshare. And now we are going to turn it over to the meat and the potatoes and our star here, Carlos, that will really walk you guys through how to use this software. So I'm looking forward to the tutorial myself. So if you guys are confused, I'm confused. So Carlos is going to walk us through that. And then after he's done, we will open it up for questions. Carlos, I will stop sharing my screen and I will turn it over to you.
Appreciate it.
And this is where you all would kind of start from on the screen, and I'll turn it to him.
Okay, perfect. So good evening. My name is Carlos Forrest. I'm with the City of Sacramento's GIS department supporting the redistricting effort. With me today, I have a colleague, Michael Dobbins, also a GIS analyst, who will be taking over the first part of the presentation, kind of getting everybody started with how to create an account, how to get into the application, where to find the application, and setting up your workspace. And then I'll dig in a little deeper on how to use some of the tools, and maybe we'll make some changes and then submit a map to kind of show you what that looks like, and hopefully get it all done in 20 minutes. So with that said, I'll hand it over to Mike Dobbins to go ahead and get us started. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Carlos. Thank you, everyone. I should be sharing my screen with you now. And what you're seeing is our city redistricting homepage. On here, you can get lots of great information on redistricting. And what we're going to talk about tonight is the Redistricting Mapping Application, which you can reach from this link here. So you would just click on the link. I've already got it open here. Excuse me. So just so you can see it. Well, good. It'll take you to this screen, give a little more information about the process. And then when you click this screen or this button here, you will be taken to the tool. So when you first arrive on this page, this is where you'll need to create an account to get started. Everybody that wants to participate in this would need to create an account. So you want to click here. You'll fill out all of the pertinent information, a password that you'll remember, a meaningful username, and a good email address where folks can contact you in the event that there's further follow-up needed for your plan. I've already got a login for tonight, so do this. So this is where, after you've created an account, next time you come back in, you'll come to this same page and you'll go to sign in, and it'll bring up this pop-up window where you'll sign in here. And the way we have it set up, so it has the live data, everything as of today is ready to go, ready for you to create your plan and submit. So when you first open it, you're going to go to the default template. That template is read-only, so it's got everything you need to go, so you can see all of the information on demographics and population and the map and on all those good things, but it is a read-only. So the first thing you want to do is a save as. We're going to give it a name that we'll remember, good old classic name for this purposes. We'll call it test. You can also enter in some more meaningful information here about your plan. And you can also revisit this description at a later time if you want to provide a better description after you've done some work and have some order right here, that's fine. So for this purposes, we'll just do that. So now you can see in the top right corner that the plan says that it is now open to my test plan. So I'm now ready to go in there and make changes to this plan. So Carlos and I are going to split up some of this demonstration tonight. So first ones I'm going to show you is on the top of the screen, you'll see these different tabs. The file tab is the one we have open now, which is where you could open a plan. See in there the default one, the read-only file, and then the one that we just saved. So I'll just cancel out of there since we already have it open. So as you go along and make changes to boundaries and so forth, you'll want to click save. It's not automatically saving your progress as you go. So you want to make sure you click this frequently so you save any progress that you've made. If you are working on a project and you want to save an additional copy, you could do a save as and make a second copy. If you're maybe going two different ways with your presentation of the district boundaries, you feel free to do that as well. This archive button here is going to take a snapshot in time. So say you're halfway through your project and you say to yourself, oh, I like how it's now, but I want to make some changes and see how things change. You can click on this archive button and it's going to download all the reports that are going to look at demographics, population. It's going to download a little map and all sorts of good things. And it's going to put it in a zip file that you could store somewhere on your computer for review later. So that's what the archive function is. Print function is pretty basic. It's just making a really simple map, PDF map of your plan. Not any of the tables or anything, just literally the screenshot there. The import and export are really just for folks that have been, this past weekend, we had to reload the 2021 state adjusted data. So prior to that, anybody who had been working on a plan, we had advised that you export a text file copy so that you could import it back in and link it back up with the up-to-date demographics data. So this is where you would go to do that. We have step-by-step tutorials on that process if that's what you're needing to do. Export is what you would have done before that. Unlikely that somebody is probably going to be exporting here, but similarly, we have tutorials on that process. It's pretty straightforward. You just choose the type of format you want to do, follow a few steps, and it's going to download it for you. The next tab we have here is the Learn tab. Excuse me. The Learn tab just provides some basic information on what is going on, what you're doing here with this application. It's showing you basic one-sentence line about what each of these tabs are. Provides links to our mapping help, which is really where you're going to find all sorts of great resources. We have video tutorials, document tutorials that you can follow step by step through the process. Lots of good stuff there for you to research and learn more. Then the next tab over is the View tab. This tab is where you're going to set up the visual look of your workspace. This is going to be your desk for during your process of doing redistricting. So you're going to want it set up in a way that is comfortable for you and that looks the way you want it to look. And so this is mostly talking about the visual look of your map as you're working. You see here, for example, here it says district lines and fills. So when you look right now, the fill districts is on. So that's that color. So if I unclicked it, it's going to turn the color off. That's helpful if you're zooming in and you really want to see something that's behind that shading. You can turn it on and off. The other option you have is to display lines. And so this, you'll see, just shows the outside edge of the district boundary as a color so that you can kind of differentiate visually there. And then unassigned color is not really relevant to what we're doing here, but it's this light blue color. If you see here, there's all census blocks are currently assigned to a district. So if you were to unassign a district, it would turn this color here. Of course, you can also modify colors to your choosing. So if these colors are not working for you for whatever reason, you're having trouble seeing one of them, you can definitely click on there and adjust colors as needed. So you have lots of options there. And then we go over to the next one is talking about the labels. So you're seeing here, it says D1, it's got a number below. What that's showing you is, here we'll turn them off so you can see. So display names is currently says shortened names. So if you click that off, it's gonna say District 1. If you just want it to be the shortened names, it's gonna say D1. And then the other one is that population. So this is showing the total population for the district as it stands now. As you make adjustments, these numbers will change automatically, as will the numbers down here in the demographics window. So you have some options on how you want things to look there. The other things we have is the deviation coloring. This is sort of maybe a slightly more advanced tool, but what you can do is you can symbolize the map based on the deviation. So you have our target population. We want to effectively balance the populations in all the districts. So in a perfect world, they would all be perfectly equal, but we understand that there's going to be a deviation above or below that average number. So you can set this to be, so I'll say 5% deviation, and I want it to adjust the district labels. So now it's going to show you here, as I said, above anything that is above the 5% threshold is going to show up there. So that's, let's see, D1, you can see it's 5.87%. So it's showing you that it's above that 5% threshold. And then on the other end, it's D5, which is negative 7.9. So it's showing you that it's 2.79% below that threshold. So you can play with your math there and the numbers and how you want to visualize that, but that's just another tool to help you visualize things. We've also got the ability to color the district fill that way, so you can see it, you know, that way, or like I said, just on the labels. So it's a neat little tool. It might help some folks out. There we go. And then the other one here on this tab is the district window. So that is this window being displayed here. So if you click on that, it's basically undocking it from the bottom, and you can drag it if you had two screens or something along those lines. You can move it around. If you close that out, it automatically docks back here. You can also move that up or down as needed. I like to usually get it so I can see all 8 districts. Yeah, so that's what is in the view tab. And then before Carlos takes over to kind of go over some of the more in-depth parts of actually working with the plan, I'll show you the share tab. So this tab is allowing for the sharing capabilities, the group functionality of this application, so that if you're working with a team or a coalition of folks that are wanting to participate on a plan together, maybe you've worked on a plan and you just want to share it with somebody else and get their feedback, you can certainly do so. So from the share tab, you can manage groups. So that would be this button here, manage groups. And I'll create a new group, and I'll call this one our test group. And I'll click OK. And then I can go to this group and I can, where'd it go? Oh, no, pardon me. No, it is. Pardon me. Here we go. Should, oh, I thought it said invite users. So you go to manage users. I'll do that one more time. Apologies there. So if you go to this top here, after you've created a group, you want to highlight on it. And then you want to click on manage users. And I'm going to invite Carlos to join this group. So I will highlight him. I'll click send invitation. And it says you're inviting demo user to join this group. So, okay. So now what has happened is I've created a group and I've sent an invitation for Carlos to join that group. And now when he logs in, he'll be able to see that and join the group. And then we can go through the process of sharing a plan with one another, effectively commenting on each other's plans and editing. And Carlos is going to show you some of that good stuff. So yeah, other than that, there's a few other things on this share tab that are perhaps useful as you get along. You can attach files to your plan, such as maybe a PDF that you've written up, some supporting documentation. You can edit that description field that I showed earlier on when you first created your user. You can add description. You can describe the type of analysis that you went through. Maybe if you're associated with an organization, you can put that as well. And then the other items have to do with the commenting and things of it for sharing. So you can say someone has made a bunch of comments on something I've shared with them, they'll show up here. The access log is similar. So if you've got a plan that you're sharing with folks, especially if you've got write access going back and forth where you're allowing each other to make changes, you can get on there and you can see, oh, I can see Carlos made a change here yesterday. Share plan, this is where I will go. So I've made the group with Carlos and I've invited him to join the group, but I haven't shared anything with them yet. So I could take this test plan and I can click share it with the test group. Here you can choose, do you want read only or do you want read and write? For the purposes of this one, I'll just leave it as read access. So that means that he can look at it and make comments, but he can't actually alter anything in the plan, just make comments. So that's what I'll choose. And let's see, anything else? So manage groups covered, group invites we covered. And the only other thing is edit password or edit profile, excuse me. And this, you could change your name in there. You could provide a different email address. And I think you can reset a password there as well, yes. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carlos. Carlos, I didn't know, do you still need me to run the screen?
No, I'm good now. I'm in. So you can go ahead and stop sharing.
All right.
Can we ask questions?
Sure.
Absolutely.
I have a question for Michael. So Michael, I go to Harvest Church. I'm Rick McPherson with the Sacto Foundation. I'm sorry, not Harvest. I go to Boss out in Florin on Florin Road. So if I wanted to share this with my pastor, because he is adamant about maybe having a clinic at our church, like a community clinic where people, because you know, who don't have access to the medical care or medical facility right away. Is that something we could put into this plan?
You would want to put the facility in the plan?
Well, we would want, I mean, I'm asking because like I said, he when we started, he says, because our church, it used to be the bowling alley there on Florin and right there on Florin. And he said, when we got there, he said, I would like us to be like a little community clinic where people can come and get service for small things that are going on and they really can't afford other stuff. Is that what this is about though, the redistricting, to try to see if you can make other things or just expanding different things, or what is it? This is really my first voyage with redistricting. So that's why I asked.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate the question. So this is solely focused on rebalancing the population of council districts. So it's looking at where we will redraw the city council district boundaries in such a way that will effectively equalize population between council districts, so you get a fair representation, so that you have one person, one vote, essentially is the goal.
So trying to even things out within the districts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I get it now. I'll let him know that. Excellent.
So I have a question.
Yes.
This is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
I thought that this gave the opportunity for what the gentleman was just mentioning, is to identify the area that they kind of wanted to stay together. If the boundary lines had to change, they would at least identify an area that would to stay together. Is that, am I totally wrong on this?
No, ma'am. So what I would say is this tool is specifically for what I had mentioned before about redrawing the boundaries, but we do have a separate application that is for communities of interest. That is it is part of the redistricting process, effectively what you described, that you would say, oh, my neighborhood is very important that we all stay in the same council district for whatever reason you want to give. And you can draw a boundary around your neighborhood, and you can provide supporting information for why you feel this community should stay in one council district, or maybe you don't feel that way. You can, whatever you want to express to the Redistricting Commission, you can do so through this application. And that's, I don't know, Carlos, maybe when you share the screen, you can pull that up and show Teresa where she could find that.
Sure,
So
yeah,
that's
I'll show the COI mapper.
So that's kind of like for to answer the gentleman's question prior to me, he would complete that.
Yes, I apologize. I appreciate you following up on that. Yes, definitely. If there's a way that you could define the area that you're interested in, and you feel that it's better served by remaining in one council district, or you feel it should be in a different council district, I think you can make all sorts of statements there, whatever you feel is the statement that you want to make.
Michael, who sees, and Michael, that COI mapping application that's already available, you're right, it's kind of separate from the other tools that we can use for the mapping application. How do they eventually correlate, though, as far
Absolutely. It's a great question. So what we're doing there is collecting the community of interest boundaries. Those will then be forwarded on to the commission, who will consider them and provide their own decision-making process, their deliberative process on how they want to consider all of these. And any that the commission decides to adopt as a community of interest for the purposes of redistricting, we will place those boundaries inside of this tool that we're teaching about tonight. So you will eventually be able to see those boundaries once they've been adopted. So currently there's a lot of potential COIs in the COI mapping tool, but they are not at that point where they're going to be adopted and placed into the application. I believe that COI process closes October 13th. And I believe they have a fairly, I hope to fairly quickly after that get the adopted ones into the mapping tool.
Excuse me, Michael, if I can chime in really quick. This is Randy Singh with the Community Engagement Team, City of Sacramento. If we could hold our questions until the end to allow Michael and Carlos to continue with their presentation, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Can I get a yes if you can see my screen, Lynette? I can see you.
Yes.
Oh, you can't see? Okay. Sorry. It's all good. Okay, so as you saw, Mike went over the file, the learn, the view, and the share tabs. What I'll do is I'll finish off by going through the create tabs, which is where you're going to do most of your, the tools that you'll be doing most of your work on the plans, the review tab, and the submit tab. I did want to point something out. So you saw Michael create a group and invited me. So when I logged into my own account, if you notice here on the top right, I have an invite with a little number 1 telling me that somebody has invited me to a group. So, pay attention to those little cues. When you're in your application, you may have somebody who has invited you. And I don't know if we mentioned it, but the only way you can be part of a group or participate in the group is to have an account through this application. So I can click on here. It'll tell me if I want to, who's invited me, the owner, which group it is. I can either accept or decline. I'll go ahead and accept that now. I can also go to the share tab, go to group invites, and see that I've been invited to the group. So I can accept it there. So just wanted to follow up on that process. So when you do invite people to a group and you share plans with them, they will be notified that you've invited them, and they can either choose to accept your invitation or decline it. If you know the person personally, you might as well send them an email or text and let them know. I believe they also get an email that says that they've been invited. So let's do some work. So the Create tab, like I mentioned, has all the tools that you'll be using to move these boundaries around. And when I say move boundaries around, what you're essentially doing is you're assigning census blocks to a district. And in the end, those census blocks, the totality of those census blocks will create the actual boundary of the districts. And with those census blocks, you have a whole wealth of information as far as population and demographics go. So speaking of demographics, on the Create tab, you have with the demographics button right here on the top left. What this does is it basically controls the data that you're going to see in your district window. So the default for the district window will show you some total population numbers and race and ethnicity percentages per district. So as you can see on my district window, I can see through all these districts has a breakdown of total population, the deviation percentage. This is the white percentage of race, black percentage. You have the Hispanic ethnicity percentage over here. You can control this with the demographics button here. So if I expand this, I could choose to show either percentage of those totals, or I could choose to show total numbers. So if you're more comfortable with looking at actual numbers, you need to do some math on the side, or just kind of, if that makes more sense for you, you can easily do that. You can either go from a percentage to the total. Another thing I want to add to my district window while I'm going to make some changes is on the View tab, there's a Show Target Values button. What this is it's telling you that out of the 8 districts and the total population of the city of Sacramento, out of the 8 districts, they need to be equal at 65,815 persons. So that's what the target mean means. So basically our target for population. If I turn that on, it turns it on down in my district window. So now I can see my total population, the target that I'm trying to reach, and the deviation. So what the deviation is simple math. So District 1 has 69,000 people. My target's 65. I'm approximately 4,000 people over my target. So what that tells me is that District 1 needs to shrink a little bit by 3,000 people. On the opposite end, District 7 has 61,000 people in it. The target's 65. They need to grow. So they're negative 4,000 people, 4,500. So those are different ways you want to start looking at your data is where do I need to make the changes? You know, there are some, and when I'm done with this, I like to say that this is it looks difficult, but this is probably going to be the easiest thing to do. The difficult part is making the decisions to create your plans. There are charter requirements, so you can follow up at redistricting.cityofsacramento.org to learn more about that. You need to, there's a number of criteria you need to follow. Some of those are, respecting neighborhood communities or neighborhood boundaries, existing neighborhood boundaries. Communities of interest will come into play eventually. But, once you play with this for a little while, the tools become an easy thing. The challenge becomes trying to balance these and also take into consideration all the criteria. There's a number of selection tools. So the way you maneuver around here is through these navigation tools. So I have this little hand, it's called a pan tool that lets me move it around. There's also some very small arrows on the screen that maybe get a little hard to see through the zoom, but if I click that, it moves my screen up. If I click that, it moves my screen down. I can zoom in and out with my scroll button on my mouse if you have one, or you can use some navigation buttons up here. You go too far, you missed or you forgot the area that you were in, you can easily hit back and it'll go back to your previous extent or go forward. So essentially, these are just navigation tools. Next to the navigation tools are your create tools. So creating your boundaries and moving your blocks into different districts, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. One of my favorite ways is if you do have, you can use your mouse, you can right click on the district that you want to move census blocks into. You can make that your current district. So what I did is I right clicked on District 2. I chose make this my current district. So I don't know if you saw, but what happened when I did that is the district window now chooses District 2. As you can see, that's highlighted. And also up here in the Create tab, District 2 was chosen. So these are the 3 different ways you can actually choose the district that you're going to be moving census blocks to. So I could have easily just went here and chose District 2. I could either right click or I can choose it here. Once you choose it here, as you can see, I'm choosing 4, they change up here also. So that's how you'll choose which district you're going to move your census blocks to. So how do you move census blocks? So let's just zoom in over here. Now, all the examples I provide, they don't mean anything. I'm just going to show you how to make some changes. I'm not going to follow too much of the criteria because we'll be here forever if I did that. So I'm not trying to make a perfect balanced map. I just want to show you what you can do to create your own map. So for this example, I'm just going to right click on District 2. I'm going to make that my current district. And these are the tools that I have to use. So I can either choose by picking, so I can easily click on that, pick my census blocks, and start moving them into District 2. So as you can see, they're assuming the colors of the district already also. So these are now moving into District 2. So what's happening while I'm clicking is the labels that show your population and all of the information down here is being updated real time. So as soon as so this says 69,564. If I choose a block with population, it moves to 69,493. So what's happening is since I'm moving blocks out of District 1 to District 2, the population of District 1 is getting smaller. And as we saw earlier, District 1 does need to get smaller. So the goal is to get to as close to 0 as you can get. It's virtually impossible to do that, so don't stress on that too much. But as close as possible to 0 as you can get. So it may be possible to get a district like District 8 is fairly balanced already. They only have 666 people over the target. So we may not need to do much after that. But again, it all depends on how your maps are playing out. So let me go ahead. If you make a mistake and you didn't like that decision that you chose and you can't remember how to change it back, you just hit the undo button. And those blocks will be moved back to the district that you moved them to. So like I said, I showed you the pick tool, which is essentially just picking a block, adding it to your district. There's a rectangle tool, so you can easily choose the rectangle. It gets kind of dangerous. As you can see, census blocks are not created equal. So you'll get some weird looking census block configurations. It makes it challenging. So just be aware of that. You can also draw around an area by clicking. So I'm just clicking, dropping my points. And then when I'm done, double click. Everything I went around just got added to this district. And you can draw a line through. So if I just wanted to draw a line through these guys right here, double click, got added to my district. So again, these are just tools to create. If you needed to be, a little bit more detail in your inside, you're trying to figure out, well, what is this block? You can turn on you can change your base map essentially. So you can choose to look at aerial imagery. For some aerial imagery works, it provides context around your area, a little orientation of your neighborhood. You can identify certain landmarks. You can kind of see certain buildings, certain parks. So that's an option. If you can't see it, you can control what you're looking at through this little, it pops out. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to highlight where my mouse is at. There's a little arrow pointing out. If I click on that, it provides me the map contents. So in order to see this aerial photography, I can just easily turn off the districts. And there you go, I can see that. Turn it back on. The light black lines that you're seeing, those are the boundaries for the actual census blocks. So they're not street boundaries that you're looking at, they're actually census block boundaries. So they vary in size, but they do have a method to them. You have to look that up on the census. A little complicated stuff. So again, you can identify your layers and manipulate those layers here. You don't have too many options, but you could turn on and off things. Let's close that out. Zoom out a little bit. We'll get a little bit more into moving some stuff around. I just want to quickly go over the tools. On the review tab, so this is some pretty good information. So the review tab provides you various ways to see the distribution of both your population and your race and ethnicity within your district configurations. We also have some tests that each plan will need to pass. So some of these are part of the criteria. Some of these are just mapping tests that need to happen. So it's making sure that there are no dual assignments, so you don't have the same district in two different areas. Population summary check, district count check, you have to have 8 districts, I'm failing this maximum deviation check. It's probably telling me that one of my districts is way above the deviation. If I click on that, yes, it's telling me I have 2 districts that are way above the 10% threshold. So, and that's fine because I've just been moving numbers around for now. Overall range check. This is the overall deviation. So the overall deviation from your highest district that's highest over your deviation to your district that's the lowest under the deviation has to equal 10% or less. So I'm failing that because my highest over here is 27% and my lowest is 17, so it's way beyond the 10% threshold. Null assignments, making sure that each census block is assigned to an actual district. And then connectivity check is essentially to make sure that each district is a very complicated thing to explain. Essentially, each district needs to be compact and connected. So I can't have a piece of one district over here and then decide I want this little area right here to be part of District 1. They have to actually connect. So that's what that connectivity check will do. If I click that now, it's telling me I have a number of disparate pieces. If I click on District 1 and tell me, okay, what's happening here? It's telling me I have this piece, this piece, this piece. So it's basically telling me I have 6 pieces of District 1 that aren't connected. So that's what the connectivity check is. So let's go into some of these plan distribution charts to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. So zoom over here, go back to review. Okay, so plan histogram is basically a bar chart. It tells me the distribution of the total population of each district. So again, the goal is to have all of these bars as even as possible and as close to 65,000 as you can, 65,115. So if you look at the scale in between 60 and 70, we should have as close as possible all these bars. So you can look at that to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, if I looked at this, I could see District 2 is obviously way over, so I'm going to have to work on that. I'd have to bring up District 1 a little bit. So another way to view the data to kind of gauge where you need to make changes. You can also choose to see the distribution of all of your race variables. And I wanted to point out, so the stuff from this drop-down menu is directly related to the data in your district window. So as you can see, I can see all of those race and ethnicity populations in my chart because I have them turned on here. If I was in my demographic window and I decided I didn't want those showing, I just turned them off and I went back to that plan histogram. I only have these very few options to choose to show. So again, these charts are related to the data that you have showing in your district window. So it does help to kind of have those turned on when you're looking at your charts. Go back here. Again, plan distribution, another way to view data. So this is a pie chart. What you're looking at here is, if you were to look at the race and ethnicity variables, you're looking at the distribution of that race in that district to the whole population of that race. So essentially what that means is District 4 has 20.4% of the white population within the city. Now, there's a difference between that and the first, well, actually, this guy right here, district distribution. So what was that, District 4? So if I went to District 4 and I highlighted white, you'll see that that's 50.1%. So the district distribution is the distribution of that white race within that district. And the plan distribution, again, is the distribution of that race within the district, but of the total of race. So basically of all the white people in Sacramento, 14% live in a certain district. I can't remember what I had picked, but here we go. 18% in District 3, 20% in District 4. So that's how those two charts work together, or those three charts. Okay, I talked about the test. You also have the ability to run reports. So, you get to a point where you want to share some information or look at some information about your districts. You can go to these reports, click on your report. I prefer to use the HTML option. What that does is it takes whatever race or ethnicity variables you choose. So say I'm just only interested in Hispanic and white, for example. Hit OK. It opens up a simple page. It doesn't download it. You don't have to look for it in your downloaded folder. You can just look at it on the screen or in front of you as a web page. If you wanted that data in a spreadsheet, you can do that. You can choose your report, population summary, and choose an Excel spreadsheet, or you can choose a PDF. So a variety of different formats that you can actually run different reports in. Okay, so let's go back to create. I'm going to go back and also, so one thing, like Mike mentioned, we did make some changes to the way you access the application. When you log into an application, or when you log into the application now, you just get the default template loads. Some of you may have already been creating maps already in plans, so it may look a little different because you don't have the option to open those plans when you log in right away. So when you log in, the default template will open. You just go to your little open file over here on the File tab. I don't want to save that. And I want to open another plan that I made. So it's as simple as going back to your File tab, click Open, and open up a tab, something that you've created. So let's go in and make some changes. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time trying to balance the city out. It's a lot of work, but I'm going to work on, sorry, my network connection might be slow and things are drawing slow. So I'm just going to make a few changes and see what we can do, show you guys how to do that. So I know now, based on the information that I've seen, that the lower districts, districts 5 through 7, are all in a negative state. So these guys need to grow. So I need to add population to these districts. Well, on the other side of the river, essentially, north of these districts, they are over the population. So these guys are going to shrink, these guys are going to grow. So depending on how you want to approach this, you can start from the bottom and move up, or you can just start shrinking these things and grow this. Totally your preference. I'm just going to start moving some things that I think make some sense looking at the numbers. I'm looking at District 6 right here. It's only 62,000. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. I need at least 3,000 people to get this close to zero as possible. So I'm going to go for the obvious ones right here and just kind of choose these guys, these two neighborhoods, and add them to District 6. So I prefer to use this lasso tool, to call it a polygon tool at the same time, where I can just kind of click to start and then just draw around the blocks that I want to add to District 6. Double click when I'm done. As you can see, I went from 62 to 65,000. I'm as close to zero as I can probably possibly get. I'm only 54 people over and 8% over my deviation. Like I said, that was an easy one. It's not going to be that easy, but that was an easy one. So I'm happy with that. I think I'm just going to leave that there for now. I'm going to go to my little pan tool and move around a little bit and see what I can do for District 7. So I can see District 7 is only at 61,000. I need to add a little bit more there. I'm going to go for an obvious one right next to it and grab this population of people and add it to District 7. So this time I'm going to right click on my district and I'm going to say make current district. And like Mike mentioned before, you can change the colors. So if your colors look too similar on your screen, if you want to, you can right click, choose change color, and change it a little different color. So make it a little darker. Choose my polygon tool and I'm just going to select these blocks. And I'm looking for these black lines, thin black lines. And I moved some population into District 7. So again, District 7 is still under by 3,000 people, so I'm going to have to find 3,000 people somewhere else. So it's going to be basically a back and forth of going in and grabbing blocks to add to those districts that will get that population to where you need it. And like I mentioned earlier, you'll get used to these tools. They'll become second nature to you. The hardest part is moving data into your districts and creating balanced districts. So one of the criteria is to try to preserve districts as much, or neighborhoods as much as possible. Now it looks obvious that I would just grab some of this, population right here and move it to District 7. But if I look at this, and this kind of helps if I go to my View tab and just show display lines, I can see Southland Park is right here. I'll go a step further, open this up and turn off my districts so I can just see the boundaries for, I'll even turn off the community plan areas. So now I just have boundaries for neighborhoods. So go back to my fill, turn that back on. So Southland Park is a pretty big neighborhood. And if I just need, 3,000 people to add to District 7, I can easily grab 3,000 people from this district by checking a number of census blocks to see where I'm at, because I'm already at 65,000. I'm only under by 200. So, but what I've done now is I've split Southland Park, or Southland Park. So that's going to be the difficult part that you guys are going to have to deal with. Users will have to deal with. So I encourage you to work in groups or work with the CBOs and try to figure out how the best approach to kind of balancing the criteria at the same time creating balanced maps. Okay, so again, like I said, it's going to be a back and forth of reviewing your data, coming back to this create tab, choosing your pan tool, moving around the city, zooming into areas, choosing to make some big decisions. District 3 is very big. I may want to move some of that population into District 5. How can I do that? Oh, can somebody please mute? So, I can easily start grabbing blocks from underneath, from over here and move into District 2 or District 3. But again, some challenges will be posed. You'll have to kind of balance those out while you're making your decisions. So that's the Create tab. The Review tab, again, we went through. We can look at the changes that we've made. If you're really looking at this bar chart, it's already looking better. I can see that District 5 does need to grow, and a couple of these need to shrink, but they're looking pretty balanced right now. I just got to do a couple of tweaks to make that balance. So that's it. So one of the last tabs I do want to go. Oh, what happened there? Sorry. Can you guys still see my screen? Yes, Mike.
Yes. Yeah, I think pre-tam muted. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is walk you through the submit tab, and I have a plan that I have saved for that. In order to submit a plan, you have to pass all those checks. So I spent some time earlier today creating a plan that passed those checks. It's not a pretty plan. It's definitely not a balanced plan, but it passes the checks in order to show you how that looks. Okay. So if I go to my review tab, I do my check integrity. Fingers crossed, everything will pass. So I have no issues with this map. So you want to run this check integrity test often while you're making changes to make sure you don't have anything that you might have missed and that your numbers are all balanced and you have everything checked off. So one of the last things you want to do after you've been creating maps is submit it. So just one button, you just hit submit. It's going to run through that integrity check one more time. I pass it. So here it'll pull some information over from what you've already provided, your plan name, your email, your username. This stuff is this information is good. It's very useful for the commission to know who's submitting plans. You can add some more additional information about your objectives of the plan. If you don't want to do that here, you can go back to that review tab or the share tab, excuse me, and add documents that may support your plan. What your focus was for the plan, and you simply just hit submit. Once you submit a plan, it's locked. You cannot edit it again. It gets submitted to staff. We will package them up and provide those to the commission for their review. But it's not all said and done. You can still take that plan, save as a different name, and still continue to work on it if you choose to. There you go. So it tells you here it's been submitted. If I want to continue making changes, like I said, use the save as to create a copy and continue to either make another plan, a different version, and whatnot. So with that, I guess we can open it up for questions. Lynette, I think you were going to run those, or do you want to just open it up? How do you want to?
Yes, let me make sure that I kind of touch on the information in the chat, and then I will turn it over. So there was a question around how will people know which CBOs can assist them if they do not speak English? Will contact information for non-English speakers who want help using the app or submitted paper maps be posted online or promoted via social media? We can accommodate. We do have a list of who the CBO partners are. And on that Excel sheet, it actually lists what languages they cover. So that information is there. However, we are happy to accommodate. People can submit a email to me at CE, like community engagement, at cityofsacramento.org, and we will accommodate to the best of our ability to make sure that we can address any individuals. As you can see, it kind of goes over the target population, which he just showed. So we can definitely accommodate that. Second question. Okay, I can't see previous chats. I had to restart my computer, so I do apologize for that. So if you submitted a question in the chat, if you don't mind raising your hand, and then I'll go from there. Mr. Kirk, please come off mute and you can answer your question.
Yes, thank you, Lynette. I've got sort of a three-part question. This presentation has indicated that the job of the individual or the neighborhood association or a community of interest is to provide a total city district map that has balanced 8 districts. It seems to me that that's the job of the city, that's the job of the commission to provide a balanced solution. What the neighborhoods are interested in is that they hold together their communities of interest into a single district. So can we submit a single district map and let the commission work out the other 7 districts? And if not, why are you making us do a total city exercise when our interest is primarily in our district? The second half of that question is, when will we be able to see the communities of interest in the database of the mapping so we can draw circles around or boundaries that include and don't break up communities of interest? Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. So before I turn it over to Carlos to probably touch on the communities of interest and how to handle that, let me just clarify that no individuals or community-based organizations or neighborhood associations, you do not have to submit a map of the city as whole. If you just care about a certain part of the city, you can do that as well. So there will be certain people that want to chime in about all districts, and they should have that option as well. But if you only want to focus on one area, you can do that as well. I will turn it over to Carlos to answer the question around communities of interest. I will say any that have currently been submitted, you can actually see those online now. What other people have submitted, they are available online, but I'll turn it over to Carlos to answer that.
Yes, great question. So we do have a tool to provide the users to identify their community of interest. It's called the Community of Interest Mapper. On October 13th, we will close this. So basically you have a few weeks to create yours and submit as community of interest. That data will be provided to the commission to do a final adoption of which communities of interest they will move forward with. Once that's done, we'll take that data, we'll load it into the application. So it could be, let me see. I don't have my calendar ahead of me, but we do have a meeting scheduled where this information will be presented to the commission. And then once they've identified which communities of interest will be part of the effort, we will add that to the redistricting mapper. And just to take a quick look,
Carlos,
if you're interested.
this is Maria. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say for those in attendance, this is Maria McGonigal. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the city. Right now, the commission has on its agenda for October the 20th would be the meeting in which they would review all of the communities of interest that have been submitted or have been commented on in prior meetings or have been provided written commentary about communities of interest. So those will be all presented to the commission and adopted into the process on the 20th. That is the plan now.
Thank you, Maria. Yes, and just Kirk, just to kind of give you an idea, the data that has been submitted by users throughout the city is available to see. So on this COI mapper that I got to from the homepage of the redistricting project, it will show you all of the communities of interest that have been submitted to date with a list of them over here on the right that's loading. And if provided, there would be a description of that community of interest. So that's available. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Great question. Any other questions, please raise your hand and I'll make sure to call on you. Again, this presentation is recorded and it will be available on our website shortly. And we're happy to add it to the toolkit as well to make it even more accessible. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. I would like to point out that we do have our chair, Ms. Catherine Horiuchi, here, as well as a couple other commissioners. I did see Commissioner Hannah as well. So just wanted you all to know that you have some of your commissioners here as well. So this is considered a public meeting. And so they, I'm sure, are taking notes on all of your input and feedback as well. While we have a couple more meetings, Randy, can you please read the questions in the chat? I don't have access to from when I restarted my computer. We have a request if there's some questions in the chat. So if you could read some of those, that can be answered.
Sure, absolutely. So we have, I think Kirk had a second question. Let's see here. Oh, he said, oh, he just wanted to know again whether or not it's able to just do district, just for one district as opposed to all 8 districts. Christina Rogers has a question. She is concerned that some folks will have an opportunity to create a map for all the districts and feels that they should really only be focusing on the district in which they reside in.
Yeah, that I can go ahead and answer that. You know, as a resident of Sacramento, you know, you have the right to provide input about how your city looks, right? Where you live now might be different from where you're going to live in a year. Maybe you're planning on moving. So we want to make sure that we're allowing people to provide input as the city at whole, or if they want to be specific to where they're currently living, they have that option as well.
Commissioner Spingarn has a question. How will people know which CBO can assist them if they do not speak English? Will contact information for non-English speakers who want help using the apps or submitting paper maps be posted online or promoted via social media?
And I think we covered that. We do have a list of on our website, which CBOs, which languages and demographics they target. And then again, I think Maria pointed out that we do have a meeting, upcoming meeting in October, and on the agenda item is specifically around community of interest maps and how they should be submitted. So that will be covered. So I encourage you all to participate in that meeting.
And that looks,
questions?
It looks like that is all. If I have missed any, Ginger, did I miss any here? I'm not seeing any other ones.
I don't think you missed anything.
I had a question. I was trying to put it in the chat.
That voice sounds familiar. Is that Zuri? Go ahead.
Yes, this is Zuri with Laugh. Thank you so much. I was just writing in the chat. Thank you so much for having this meeting, Lynette, Randy, and Morgan and Ginger. It's very informative because the mapping tools are really great, but they do require instruction. And with that being said, some of the outreach that we do here at CLAP as a CBO for redistricting is meeting people where they're at. So we really have a large population that we serve of our unhoused community that have shown interest in being a part of the redistricting process. Even those who are sheltered may not having that technology access or those supports needed. Do you suggest that that email option that you provided be the best way to possibly submit the paper maps? Or I was just wanting to get the panel's ideas and input on the paper map submission just moving forward.
I will let Maria chime in, but I will say that we will accept paper maps. So paper maps can be dropped off at City Hall. They will be scanned and PDF and delivered to the commissioners to review.
Okay, thank you.
And to the question around addressing some of the language barriers, I do see here we have a number of our CBOs that are helping us. I do see Mai Wen from CPAOS, who focuses on our Vietnamese community. So, you know, she's always available to help with translations on Vietnamese. And so we do have a number of folks that are available to be on hand to address some of those non-English speakers. So thank you for that. Any other questions?
So I think Velma Sykes had asked a question earlier in the chat. So I just was scrolling up looking for hers, and she's wanting to know, are there any other demographics being shared in the mapping process besides race and ethnicity? So the answer to that is no. The race and ethnicity data that's provided by the census and updated by the California state of California are the official data sets for redistricting. So there won't be any additional information added to the tool.
But I would add just one additional comment to that, which is that there are other data available on the website that people can use by going to the City of Sacramento redistricting website. There are other information that may be helpful for individuals to understand the community a little bit more and the geography by using those tools. But as Carlos mentioned, this is the official redistricting data and is what we can provide within the context of the tool.
There was a question in the chat about whether data based on economics would be included.
No, they're just the race and ethnicity data. And if I can share my screen one more time, I can kind of show. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so from the city's redistricting homepage, if you click the redistricting mapping button, there is a reference data and maps button that you can also choose. So this is what Maria was referencing to. We have what's called a GIS hub for redistricting with a number of applications and tools for you to gather data for redistricting efforts. We have a link to the actual redistricting app that I just showed and demoed. We have links to race and ethnicity maps outside of the tool. So it's hard to kind of visualize the race and ethnicity data within the redistricting application tool. Unfortunately, it's a little bit slow, but so as you can see, we have provided this official census data and broken it out by the various race and ethnicity variables. So you can see all that through that same redistricting hub. And then there's a number of other applications down here where when you talk about income and education, these are data sets available from the American Community Survey program through the census. So these are 5-year estimations. These are not official counts, but there's methods that they apply to kind of give you these estimates. So a wealth of information on this redistricting hub, which you can access from the City of Sacramento's redistricting homepage.
One more question for you, Carlos. Are both the district mapping app and the communities of interest mapping app available to be used on iPhones, Androids, iPads, and any other mobile devices? Do both apps work with Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer, and other web browsers?
Yeah, so both maps should work with all web browsers. The redistricting app will not work well on a mobile device. It's a very complex application. Very heavy application. The communities of interest, I'm glad Commissioner Hanna's on here. We've been looking into this. The community of interest is already configured to be as mobile friendly as possible. It works best if you're using something mobile on an iPad or a larger screen phone. Anything smaller is going to be a little tricky. But yes, the COI Mapper tool can be viewed on a mobile device. The redistricting mapping tool, not so good.
And there's another question on a request for data based on lifestyle, multifamily, single people, elderly, gay traditional families. They think that's important too. And they're concerned that only race and ethnicity, which is a very narrow viewpoint. People in communities are so much more than that.
Yeah, certainly there are a number of things to take into consideration when you're working with this type of work. But unfortunately, we're guided by the charter, and the charter has specific criteria that we must follow by law. And none of those items that were brought up are part of this, unfortunately. It just looks at the number one thing is equal in population. So population is our number one piece of data that we need to follow. Following that is neighborhoods and communities of interest and other things like that. So we're kind of limited to what we can use based on the charter.
Carlos, can you show that last slide from the charter really quick? This will show exactly what they should be considering unless the commission adopts something else. So this is exactly what they should be considering, and it's also in charter by priority. And this is also available online. If you go on our redistricting site, it'll say redistricting, I think requirements and criteria, I believe, is where you find that information. Any other questions? I know that we are over time. Thank you all so much for attending this. Again, this will be recorded, available online. There's additional tutorials also online, and staff is always available to help. So if there are no other questions, wait, Commissioner Hannah has a question. Go ahead.
Sorry to be that person that asked the question at the very end, but there was a wonderful webpage the last time I checked on the redistricting site that had like a PDF version of each of the different districts, as well as like a PDF version of all the overall Sacramento city district, like all the districts. Is that still available on the webpage? I'm having a really hard time finding it.
So you may have been looking at maybe the archive where it had a bunch of information with the population and race by council district. So we are working on providing the most recent data in those types of formats. So you should be seeing those pretty soon on our website with actual downloadable data. So we've had some requests to provide some of those overall numbers that we've provided to the commission as far as downloadable data sets. So we are working on getting that on our website, and we'll send out some notifications once that's done.
It wasn't this page. It was like it wasn't this. No, because it had like the district site, and then it was like you were able to download a 8.5 by 11 page, and then you were also able to download like a bigger page if folks had access to a printer that could print that large. It was just a really, really accessible, user-friendly page, and I'm having a really hard time finding it.
Yeah, I got you now. So from online services, if you hover over that and you go to maps, you went to our map gallery essentially. So we have a map gallery. Some of these may be dated. I mean, we've moved to more interactive maps, but there are some council maps where you can get a small version or a large version, and a couple of other maps, city street maps, neighborhood maps, and some other departmental maps. But does this look familiar to you?
Yeah, this is great. I feel like for folks who don't have the ability to utilize the wonderful interface that you all just shared today, these kind of maps might be helpful to print out and hand draw. So Zuri in particular was asking about that. I think this would be a helpful resource for her.
Well, that's a great point. Thank you, Commissioner Hannah.
Thank you, Commissioner Hannah. And I also do see we have Commissioner Thin, so I just wanted to recognize him as well, that he is also here. And then Commissioner Spingarn is also here as well. So thank you for coming and participating. Just wanted to acknowledge you all as well. Before we conclude, I just want to say thank you to all of our community-based partners and individuals that are really helping us get the word out, addressing cultural and language barriers. We could not do it without you, and you are appreciated. So thank you for all of your hard work. And again, if you have any questions, I'm Lynette Hall. You can reach me at CE, like community engagement, at cityofsacramento.org. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see all of you at the next Redistricting Commission meeting. I'm sure they would love to see your faces and hear from you.
Thank you.